All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a Walking Dead video for today. Oh my gosh, this one will be doing a season review since we've seen most of it. Just waiting for that final episode for The Walking Dead Season 10. Alright, so I decided we would go ahead and today do our review, our annual review for this season of The Walking Dead. So I know we have not seen the actual final episode for the season just yet, but we'll have to see when we do, hopefully within the next month or two. But there have been some people, like JDM, Negan, who said that he wouldn't be surprised if we actually didn't see it until maybe the fall or something. So I hope that's not true, and other sites have kind of, there's been mixed messaging with regards to when we're actually going to get to see episode 16 of The Walking Dead season 10. But in case it's a while, I decided, why don't we do this now? Want to make a Walking Dead video with you guys, so because we haven't done one for a little bit, and aside from the live streams and whatnot, so I decided, why don't we go ahead and do our season review now for this season of The Walking Dead. So The Walking Dead season 10. Also, because I don't expect for one final episode to really change our score or our overall thoughts on the season as a whole. Maybe we can account, like a point boost, like a small, like a 0.1 point boost after seeing the finale, because A Certain Doom does look like it's going to be a great episode, and we did kind of end off at somewhat of a cliffhanger with the tower. So let's start things off with the beginning of the season, give our thoughts on how the season started off. And also, Rotten Tomatoes actually has this season 10, rated as a 91% on its tomato meter, which makes it a tie for The Walking Dead season 9 as the best season ever, which is very strange to see for season 10. Again, I don't think the final episode will really change that too much. It'll probably stay somewhere around there. If anything, if the final episode 16, is really great, maybe it can inch out season 9 as the best season according to Rotten Tomatoes, with 91 or 92%. Season 9 is a 91%. Season 10 right now, 91%. Season 5 is the next highest season with a 90%. So that means, according to Rotten Tomatoes, seasons 9 and 10 are the best seasons The Walking Dead has ever done. And again, it's subject to change a little bit as we see that final premiere of that final episode. So very happy to see that The Walking Dead is still going so strong after 10 years, and kind of strange to see it get like a 91% response from Rotten Tomatoes, because this year we don't have, for season 10, we did not have Rick like season 9 did. So you can understand why season 9 might be rated the highest, because they had Rick there. We got to see kind of Rick's leave and everything. You also had Maggie still there. You had most of the original cast that's still alive at that time that weren't killed off kind of prior still there. And this season we've seen, season 10, we've seen Michonne leave, but we didn't have, which is a pretty big leave by itself too, but it's not Rick. I mean, Rick is literally the lead character of the series, and kind of this season more kind of taking over, continuing for, I almost want to say, a pair with Daryl and Carol. I almost want to say with season 10 of The Walking Dead, we have sort of seen a dual lead here, where we've seen Daryl and Carol kind of take over as our series premiere characters or our series lead characters, with Michonne possibly being a third to that with her exit. But now that she's gone too, it does feel like we have a pair leading The Walking Dead instead of a main man like Rick at the front. We have a pair, Daryl and Carol, at the front leading the show. And especially with this season, the way they use Carol and having Alpha sort of be a villain for her, and having there be sort of a rivalry between Alpha and Carol, I thought worked out really good. I thought it was really brilliant, because what you kind of have is you have sort of like, as a lot of us have referred to her, and as she said in season 5, I think, when they arrived at Alexandria, that she's kind of like the, did she say she's kind of like the mom of the group, right? That whole thing. She's like a badass zombie apocalypse mom. That's the way I see Carol. And so in these last two seasons with Alpha, you sort of have an equivalent to Carol, in that Alpha is sort of like the bad mom. You have an evil mom versus a good mom. You have Lydia, so she gives you that kind of angle for Alpha as like a brutal mom, as an evil mom, and then you have Carol as like the good mom who's trying to avenge Henry, and kind of this battle as we see things play out throughout the season. So the first half of the season goes through. They didn't give us the big Alpha kind of kill at the mid-season finale like a lot of us thought they probably would. We started the seasons off with Lines We Cross, which I thought was an okay season premiere. It wasn't anything too crazy. You had the Oceanside, you had them kind of training and getting ready for for battle with the Whispers and all that. Just a call to arms type of training type of situation. Daryl, you had the fire, you had the satellite, you had Eugene tinkering and what that amounted to later on, which fit in nicely because then he uses that for the parts, and then they find out about this other group which they're going to visit now. To possibly meet Stephanie or whatever happens with that in the TV series version there. So you had the start to a lot of things. You had the Whispers kind of finding out about what they were doing and them crossing the boundaries. So not going along with Alpha's rules. But even if they had followed Alpha's rules, it wouldn't really matter anyway. You tend to think that Alpha and Beta would have tried to kill them all anyway, right? Yeah, so so then we have that one. We Are the End of the World, which was the Whisper kind of focus episode, which I feel like stands up pretty good even till right now, because now that the Whispers are starting to kind of come towards what's a possible conclusion. You don't have Alpha anymore. She's, spoiler warning, dead. You have crazy Half Moon Whisper Beta, which is a really cool lead for them. But it does feel like we're starting to see a close to winding down for the Whispers. So We Are the End of the World was a good episode that we got to see how the Whispers sort of became what they are. So, and the focus on Lydia, and to humanize them a little bit, as much as you can humanize the Whispers, but to kind of get a little bit of focus and attention and understanding on how they came to be. It makes sense to have that episode, especially now that they're kind of almost over. Then we had Ghosts, which I think was a great episode. The stuff with Carol, the way they kind of used the is it real, is it not real, that was pretty cool. And it worked out really nicely later on, because you have a situation where it appears to be, this wasn't shown on screen, but Alpha sends in the Whispers after Carol, after she tried to take the shot and everything. And then you have Carol, who sends Negan in response back at Alpha. So Alpha's Whispers are not able to kill Carol, even though they get very close, and even though when we're watching it, we didn't think it was real. We find out it was real. And then in retribution, Carol says, okay, tit for tat, and she's going to send Negan after Alpha, and then Negan actually is able to achieve the task of killing Alpha later on. So it's sort of a nice setup for that, and then later on with what happens with Alpha and Negan. Then we have episode 4, Silence the Whispers. Another, let's see here, a pretty good episode. This was Michael Cudlett's episode, it looks like. Abraham directed this one, so pretty cool. Oh, right, this is the one where we have the invasion of walkers, which was sweet. So that was really cool. They did like the kind of the sequential kind of crossing over time. You have the stuff with Ezekiel and Michonne in there, so that was pretty good, and the ocean side. And then episode 5 was What It Always Is. And then that's the stuff with Kelly becoming disoriented and everything like that. The hilltop, the community works to rebuild the wall, while Ezekiel reveals to Sadiq that he has thyroid cancer. Magna reveals to Yumiko that she killed a man who attacked her young cousin, causing a rift between the two. Negan crosses into the Whisper territory and is attacked by Beta. So that was kind of the highlighter, fun stuff with that. Bonds was episode 6. Carol and Daryl set out to destroy Alpha's horde. After Carol captures a Whisper, Daryl becomes skeptical of Carol's intentions at Alexandria. Rosita and several others become ill after Gamma. So you get kind of the build up with Bonds and that to the mid-season finale here with the illness and that whole thing. And then we get the awesome Dante reveal. Open your eyes. Very, very cool twist, using a new character with Dante in messing with us, because the comic version of Dante is a good guy. They bring him in, we're expecting to see the same kind of deal, and an awesome twist on even your advanced viewers, like your advanced comic book readers and followers and people who know about some of the characters from the comics ahead of time. Literally them messing with those advanced viewers and taking a character in the comics that we would expect to see be a good guy and doing a nice twist with the even afterwards with the flashback of when Alpha had sent him in, of what happened with Sadiq here and that whole part, and some very exciting kind of fight scenes there. You had the stuff with Rosita against him and everything, and I just thought that was an amazing twist. Sad to see Sadiq killed off in such a brutal way, with that whole thing, bare hands type of kill, the arm coming over. Dante having been one of the Whispers that was revealed to have been holding Sadiq while he was forced to watch what happened at the Red Fair. Just I thought an amazing twist, amazing stuff. Gabriel starting to become really awesome with killing Dante after that. And everything that happens here with the mid-season finale, finishing off the first half of the season, as I've said in my reviews, as an incredible first half, considering the characters that they spotlighted, considering what they were able to do with someone like a Dante, and how exciting and how amazing that twist was. Considering that you really spotlighted some of those characters like Sadiq that you never thought would get that kind of time, I wouldn't think, or be used in that kind of way, and Dante. And then we have the stuff with the cave and Alpha's horde to kind of wait for somewhat of a cliffhanger for the second half. Okay, so then we come back from the second half of the season. We have Squeeze, and what I thought was a pretty good season premiere with them kind of escaping the cave and everything that was happening with that. I recall, Gamma being around and that whole thing after that. We have Stalkers. So that episode, Gamma arriving in Alexandria, but then you have the Beta going in. That's definitely a highlight of Walking Dead for me, for a villain anyway, like a Mike Myers type, Walking Dead Mike Myers type of entrance, having used, again, very smart here, having used the spot where Dante had dug up to loosen the soil. Beta uses that as his entry point to go into Alexandria and literally start wreaking absolute havoc in what is some of the most brutal and horrific scenes of The Walking Dead, really like horror movie level here, as you have Beta, for example, killing all these defenseless people that have no idea what's going on, and then him literally waiting for them to turn and kind of in some kind of whisper ritual. Some really dark stuff in this one, some of the scariest stuff Walking Dead's ever done, but I really did think it was very amazing. So then we have the stuff with Morning Star, and you kind of have the battle and the build up here to the Whisperer War at and you do have it there at the hilltop, and what happens there, and then kind of the dust settling after. And that was really exciting to see, them use like the fire and everything. Very cool. Lots of walkers around, bodies and piles of walkers. One of the best battles we've ever seen in The Walking Dead. Is it maybe the best? I don't know. Maybe Too Far Gone is the best kind of like fight out battle, or No Sanctuary or something like that. Certainly not. Certainly the overall fight between the saviors and the survivors was probably not quite as good as this with Eugene. They went with the twist with that one where all the weapons backfire at the very end, but I did like the key where you had Rick fighting Negan and that kind of stuff. But in terms of an overall battle scene, this was one of the best The Walking Dead has ever done. I thought, with the fire everywhere and everything. It was fire. Walk With Us and what happens with that. Gamma and Beta, Negan, and kind of things starting to kind of get even closer between Negan and Alpha, and us not knowing which side that he's on here. The episode where they have sex and everything, right? So that's Squeeze, right? And Squeeze having a different meaning there, but so that was in the mid-season premiere. Kind of the storylines going through together here as you have the different episodes happening in different locations, and what we become. So that's the one with Michonne arriving with Virgil, that episode. So really great episode with Walk With Us, and then we go over to the stuff with Michonne and see kind of the leave of Michonne in her final kind of episode, and then look at the flowers here as we have kind of the final part with Alpha, and and everything that happens with that with. Or you have Alpha killed, and then you have Look at the Flowers with Carol kind of being haunted by Alpha's ghost. But maybe the highlight of this back half season would be possibly Negan killing Alpha, which was great, and revealing that they had worked together throughout the process. So Carol and Negan working together. But highlights for the second half: Negan killing Alpha, the reveal that Carol had sent him in. And then I did like afterwards Beta going crazy here in the episodes after Michonne's leave. And Michonne's leave was pretty good too. They used the acid and that whole thing for that. But Beta's transformation, I think, is kind of a highlight here after Alpha's been gone, and so quickly after Alpha's been gone. And then the tower with that kind of setting us up for this final episode. Whenever we see that, whether it be in this month or next month or hopefully not until the fall time, hopefully soon. But it just looks like it's going to be a great episode. Lots of excitement probably with the battles and everything. And then the big question of whether or not Beta will be killed off. Will Negan and Daryl be able to kind of get together to fight him back? What will happen with the Mega Whisper herd? and Gabriel and the others, and who will survive in the final episode, episode 16. But I do, so I really love the season. The first half of the season was really good. Some people disappointed that Alpha had survived out that time. I thought it was great with the twist with Dante and everything. I thought it was worth it. And then the second half, can we say the second half is better than the first half? I think from what I've seen from your guys' feedback, that would be acceptable. Like that would be true. Because I do remember there were some people who were disappointed after the first half. In that they have wanted to see, Negan and Alpha and that whole thing. And you get to see it in the second half. So maybe you say the second half is a bit stronger than the first half for this season. But I did think that it was really smart what they did with Dante and all that. And that was really, really, really good stuff. Highlight of the season for me with him and Sadiq for sure. So after that, the stuff with the cave and all that was like, it was okay. It worked out pretty good. Gamma was a bit brutal to see her be killed like that by Beta. But it buys in. It works to a degree because it's sort of like Beta has totally left the building. He is completely and totally just a monster at this point. He is as close to like a Michael Myers Walking Dead character as you could ever kind of get in Walking Dead probably. And he's quite fearsome and quite awesome. So we'll see how that plays out in this finale episode, and hopefully a battle. Hopefully he sees Negan after knowing that Negan had killed Alpha, and we get to see a throwdown fight between the two of them. So. Michonne's leave as well, mixed in with all the other stuff. This season would be a great season even if they had not done the Michonne leave thing. But it does feel like a jam-packed season because you have all the stuff with the Whispers, you have the cave and the different environments and that worked out well. And then on top of that, you have the stuff with, with the different battles and everything. And you have kind of Michonne leaving and everything, which is kind of funny how that almost takes a back seat to everything else. Whereas in season 9, that was like with Rick leaving. I mean, it's Rick though too, but that was a huge thing. It's almost like Michonne leaving is almost a subplot of the season, or it's a sub. It's a sub focus of the overall season. So it is an amazing season. Again, I love what they did with the Whispers. I love the Carol Alpha kind of verses, and maybe an equivalent for Beta being Daryl sort of in some ways here. You have sort of your good guy pair with Carol and Daryl sort of against as the season goes through, your evil pair with Alpha and Beta. And I think that worked out great. Stuff with Michonne was pretty good. Not too many complaints there. I thought it was good with the look at the flowers and Virgil and everything. It was pretty good. And then the haunting and all that, and kind of the season sort of leaving us off at this point, which was unfortunately a bit of a cliffhanger unintentionally, because episode 15 ends with Beta coming into the tower, coming at them, and them really having no place to go but to have to fight or guts trick their way out or something of the sort like this, and face the monster. So can't wait to see when that episode hits. Hopefully we'll get it within the next month or so. But if it's longer, well, we'll just be excited to wait for it, and we'll of course do a review for that when it hits. So those are kind of my thoughts on the season. Is it one of the best seasons of The Walking Dead ever? Man, I would say that, for me, to summarize this one up, it's an amazing season considering what they had. They had Michonne leaving, they had the continuation of the Whispers, the first season without Rick, and for it to get a 91% is just it's a triumph for them. It's a triumph for the team that does The Walking Dead, because losing Rick like that is such a huge blow. And to literally watch the season through and almost sometimes not forget who Rick is. We're never going to forget Rick for Walking Dead. But to where it's so engaging that sometimes we don't realize that Michonne isn't there. We don't realize Rick isn't there, because that's how good it is. That's how layered it is. That so many things are happening all at once, and it really has a good flow. And there's almost no episodes that feel like they're slacked or feel like they're boring or anything like that. Maybe a few slow parts here and there. And I didn't even mention the stuff with Eugene going to see with the princess introduction. I forgot all about that, because that's how much they packed in the season, is that you even forget about stuff like that, because there's just so much there to cover. So a lot of ground in season 10 covered. A great season. I'm not going to say it's my favorite season ever. I think it's the best season ever, but I would give it a 9 out of 10. I think that Rotten Tomatoes is pretty close here. And the season 10 finale, will it make it the best season ever? It feels like, to me, as good as the finale episode could possibly be, I just feel like season 9 with Rick's leave is just untouchable. For some reasons. Like, you have Herschel coming back and having that last scene with Rick. I mean, that is, for me, and then the Shane coming back and stuff. Some of that stuff it's like you don't, as good as you could possibly do, you don't have the potential to really out that in terms of the character relationships and even breaking the fourth wall with with Scott Wilson and everything. That's special. You can't get that. That's a one-time thing. You're not going to get that again. So it's a great season. I love season 10. It's not my favorite season ever. Season 9 would be. I would put season 9 ahead of it. Season 6 maybe for me. You guys know I enjoy that one too. And season 5. But season 10, we'll see when the final episode hits. But it's still an incredible season. I can understand that it's rated so high. And I thought it was incredible given what they had to work with. So that's my review of season 10, the 15 out of the 16, most of it, and then we'll see that final episode and kind of maybe in a Q&A touch back up on this a little bit and how we feel about the season after. But I don't expect it to change much. 9 out of 10, 9.1 or 91%, maybe 92% if the season finale is really awesome. But I wouldn't really want to see it out season 9 as the best season rated ever. I think season 9 probably should stay there for me anyway, with Rick and everything. But I'm a pretty big Rick fan, and I understand not everybody is. That'll be it for this review, guys. What did you think of season 10 all the way through as a complete season? The Michonne stuff, Carol Darrell, the Whispers, Eugene, Princess, everything else that's happened this year. Let me know what you guys think, and if you want to do a Walking Dead Q&A soon, leave me some questions below. We'll do a live stream again pretty soon, probably. That's it for this video, guys. We'll see you again soon for another. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace later, guys. See you soon.